MP AMANZA Walton DESIR is on the line as well. She's saying achievements of the PP 100 days.
This is just the first 100 days.
Mm.
We will do one with the first year, and the Guyanese people will begin to see just how miserably they are failing and just how far the country has descended in 365 days from where it was. We are out here, as we said, we will be out here every Wednesday, and we will be highlighting and we will continue to highlight the fact that the PPP seems content to make Guyana and to once again set Guyana on the path of becoming a failed state. And we will be out here speaking up for our rights. This is our constitutional right, and we will not be silent. I'm so happy today to see that a number of persons have come out and have joined the MPs. And this will continue, it will grow, and we will not be deterred by numbers. We will not be deterred by numbers. The smallest stream can cut through the largest rock. And so we will continue to bring the pressure on the installed regime. There's just too much going on for us to stay silent and for us to wait until they choose to call Parliament to speak. You're seeing every day a breakdown of law and order. We're learning overnight about a woman being shot, the daughter of a Tashao in Region 9 being shot by the REO. What is striking to me is that these incidents are occurring at business places of known associates of the PPPC after the curfew hours. And so you have a regime and their supporters who clearly do not believe that law and order need to be followed. And this is why you're seeing an exponential increase in the COVID-19 cases, because there's a disregard from the head down for all of the COVID-19 protocols. Now you have clearly people gathering after 10:30 for this incident to happen. A young lady is shot, and we're waiting to see what will happen. Because this is, of course, the REO, who is a former member of the PPPC. So we are waiting to see whether the wheels of justice will only turn when it comes to victimizing APNU, AFC members and their supporters, or whether all men will be equal before the law in Guyana. So we are out here, and we'll continue to be out here and continue to bring light and international attention to these atrocities happening in Guyana.
Amanda, what would you say to those folks who are saying in the public that your protest is just talking? There's no pushback, no really major pushback on the government, because you're talking, but the government is still doing whatever they're doing. What would you say to those persons who are making those statements?
Listen, your responsibility is to speak up for your rights. You have no idea how far and how impacting it will be when you start to speak up. You don't need to worry about results. Your first duty is to stand up for your rights. And if every Guyanese man, woman, and child should stand for their rights, then the government will have no choice. But what they do is that they sow doubt in the minds of the people, but we're not going to be deterred. Our first obligation, like I said, is for us to stand up and speak up for our rights. If we will not stand up and speak up for our rights, we can't count on anybody else to defend our rights. These are our God-given freedom that we have to defend. So if it's me alone or me and Chris and Sharon alone, we're going to come out here, or my brother Vin Troy, we're going to come out here and we're going to speak up. Because that is what we can control. We can control our voices. We can control whether we speak up or whether we don't speak up. We can continue to highlight these atrocities to the international community. The PPP before 2015 occupied government for 23 years. And in their arrogance, they believed that they would have never been deposed or elected out of office. And in 2015, they were. And in 2020, they were installed. But come 2025, the Guyanese people will dispose of them, because they have indicated they have no intention to govern this nation in a manner that says equity and equality for all Guyanese. They're simply about enriching themselves and their cronies while the ordinary man suffers.
I
And
want to share. I accept that, Amanza. I want to share your thoughts on the statement that the Minister of Education made yesterday, that on the protest lying out there with the teachers and the organizers there, that if the GTU wants to be treated as a professional organization, then they will listen to them. But if they want to be treated as a political organization, then they will treat them as a political organization. What are your thoughts on those statements by the
it
minister?
displays a lack of understanding on the part of the minister about the nature of a union and the function of a union. That is all it does. It just displays her ignorance as it relates to these matters. And it betrays the mindset that they believe that nobody ought to stand up for what is right. That as soon as you stand up and speak up for your rights, you are being political.
Mm.
And that is the mindset it betrays. And it is quite unfortunate that she would say that, because the law guarantees every citizen the right to peacefully assemble. You see? And so what the minister has done is just betray the contempt with which this government, installed government, views the working class. Three budgets and public servants cannot get an increase in salary. The union, the GPSU in particular, I'm very unhappy with the attitude of Mr. Patrick Yard, who seems quite content to sit down and twiddle his thumbs, while the workers that he collects union dues from are not properly represented. Three budgets, two budgets and a supplemental, and no increase for public servants. And he seems content to sit and twiddle his thumbs while collecting their union dues. And so that is the role of the union, to bring representation to whatever government. You will recall that the teachers union did not just do this with the PPP, they did it with the AP and UFC coalition, because that is the role and function. And it is a pity that the Minister of Education holds those sentiments, but it just betrays the anti-working class sentiment of this government, of this installed cabal.
So you're saying that you see the government is making a plot or planning something to dismantle unions in this country?
What will you disagree with me to draw that conclusion? The government understands the strength of the union. If you go to the history of the PPPC, you understand the regard with which their founder, Chedi Jagan, held the union. You see the regard with which and the esteem with which Mr. Burnham held the unions, because the unions are the legal and legitimate representative of the people, of the workers. They, over and above even the political organization, have a right, have a duty to fight on behalf of their workers. And so I'm saying that union members must guard against their leaders being compromised into sitting down and twiddling their thumbs. They have to stand up and speak up and demand more, because the union owes them a duty. And I want to commend those unions that I see coming out, and I want to say to you, keep up the good work and continue to agitate for workers, and we will be here to support you.
Amanda, before I let you go, you are shadowing foreign affairs.
Mhm.
How is it your message to those in authorities overseas, um, giving traction and attention, like Cuba, giving attention to Cuba matters? How is it that Guyana's attention is not getting that traction
Well, I
overseas?
don't agree that Guyana is not getting the traction overseas. Two separate congressmen issued statements concerning the equitable distribution of the patrimony of Guyana. It is very clear the Attorney General right now is wanted for threatening Rickford Burke's life. So these matters are clearly within the attention of the international community, and this is why we will continue to speak up, because the international community is looking on and they are taking note.
Thank you, Amanda.